We are now into February, and that means only one thing, guys. It's Valentine's month. Love is in the air. It doesn't really mean that. What it really means is the end of the Scottish Premiership transfer window. Welcome back to Fog Football, and I'm here to round up every single team's January transfer window. Now, speaking of love, there's been no love for referees lately, and that is pretty much because they all suck. They're all shit at their jobs. They never seem to get decisions right, but screw it, this video isn't going to be about referees, but if we could transfer all the referees out of Scotland and get competent ones in, then, that would be a really good window in my book. But no, we are using the Daily Record website here to get all the official ins and outs, and by God, the amount of ads on this site, you'd think it was an adult site, for God's sake, man. There's ads left, right, centre, middle, top, bottom, man. You name them, you name the direction the ads are coming from it. I don't quite understand it. Probably going to get about 1 million viruses on my computer. The last time I ever go on Daily Record, but here, some things have to be done. And this video is certainly one of them. So, I'm going to go through all the teams here, and I'm going to rank their transfer window from, I guess we'll do letters to keep it simple, because a lot of you guys probably can't count to 10 anyway. So, we'll go from A to E. Okay, so if you get an A, then you've done brilliant. If you get an E, then, you know what? You should have spent a bit more money. You should have got the checkbook out and you should have splashed some cash. We'll start with Aberdeen. I don't think it really matters what Aberdeen do. They are quite clearly fucked, as you can see from recent results. But they brought in Mason Hancock. It's a pretty good name, but the fact that he's coming for Arbroath doesn't fill me with much confidence. Graham Shinney on loan for Wigan. I think Graham Shinney, he's a quality player. He cannot be a bad signing. As bad as Aberdeen are at the moment, them getting Graham Shinney on loan till the end, that can only be a good thing. Let's be real. Graham Shinney. Sad to see his Scotland international career kind of just derail. I know he's been unlucky with injuries and stuff like that. He did convert from left back into centre defensive midfield. He's just unfortunate. He has to be in an era where we've got like so many good fullbacks. But I tell you what, man, Graham Shinney 10 years ago, if he could have broken then, he'd have been Scotland's number one left back. But it is what it is. He's moved into CDM now, but still, great signing for Aberdeen. Patrick Miovskic, never heard of him. Aaron Reid, never heard of him. Matty Pollock, never heard of him. Tom Ritchie, I've heard of him, but I don't know if he's any good or not. Jay Gorter on loan from Ajax, goalkeeper. Interesting decision there, because you feel like Aberdeen have two keepers kind of, contending for that number one spot at the moment with Roos and Joe Lewis. So for them to bring another goalkeeper into the mix, it's like, they do say freeze a crowd, they do say that. So, I mean, does Jay Gorter fit into the plans? Is he coming in to be number one? It doesn't make any sense for him to come into the Aberdeen system and not be, competing for the jersey. I mean, if he's just going to be the third choice, then what would be the point of the loan move? It makes no sense. So the fact that they've actually took time to loan him in from Ajax tells me he is, if he's not going to be going straight in to the number one position, then he's probably going to be at least contending for it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Jay Gorter. Angus MacDonald for Swindon, and Dylan Markinandy from Blackburn Rovers. Bit of a tongue twister there, but he's in on loan. Outs are Jack Milne on loan. Christian Ramirez is left permanently. He goes to Columbus Crew. Aaron Reid's away to Elgin on loan. Evan Towler is away on loan. Vincent Bishuin is away on loan with an option to buy, and Anthony Stewart is away on loan also. For me, I am going to give this transfer window for Aberdeen, honestly, it's getting a D for me. I mean, it's not quite, actually, no, I'll change my mind. I'm going to give it a C. Because I forgot they did bring in Graham Shinney, and I think that is a terrific piece of business there for Aberdeen. But at the end of the day, it's only on loan, and you could argue that Aberdeen's season is pretty much already over. I think Christian Ramirez, I thought he was good last season. He scored a decent amount of goals. For some reason this year he could just never seem to. He wasn't. I don't know. Maybe Jim Goodwin just didn't rate the guy. maybe him and Goodwin had differences, and obviously Miovski coming in and scoring goals didn't help Ramirez's cause to get into the team. But I think Christian Ramirez is definitely he's definitely a good enough striker to play a part at Aberdeen. And I think he will be a loss because, like I said, last season I thought he'd done all right. So I am surprised to see them just get rid of Ramirez like that. Vincent Bishuin, I think, has been good for Aberdeen as well. So a little bit surprised to see him leave, on loan, but it looks like I think that move will probably be made permanent. And then Anthony Stewart, I don't rate the guy. It is very weird that he came in and got appointed captain straight away. How many times does a new player come into a club and automatically get appointed captain? For me, I think that was one of Jim Goodwin's worst decisions. Just giving this guy the captain's armband, you should have gave it to McCrory, or you give it to someone who's been at the club, quite a while. You give it to someone who is looked up to in the club, someone that is actually bonded with the club, someone that the club means a lot to them. Anthony Stewart doesn't know shit about Aberdeen. He just got brought in and they slapped the captain's armband on him. I'm not going to say that Anthony Stewart is the reason solely that Aberdeen have been shocking this season, but I don't think it helps when you place the captain's armband on a newbie at the end of the day. He can have experience in other clubs elsewhere, but at the end of the day, he had no experience in the Scottish Premiership, and he had no experience or history with Aberdeen. So I thought it was a poor appointment. But I'll give it a C. I think Shinnie coming in is good. I don't think losing Ramirez and Bishuin, I think that is pretty poor for Aberdeen. And Anthony Stewart, I personally don't rate him, so I'm not gonna downrate it too much, but for me, I'll give Aberdeen a C. I think they probably needed to do more, considering. But then again, I don't know. Heading into the window, things weren't looking that bad. Things have got a lot. We've got to be honest. Things have got a lot worse for Aberdeen since the beginning of January. So it is what it is. I'm giving them a C. Moving into Celtic now. Got Kobayashi coming in, Alistair Johnson coming in, Awata coming in. HYEON-GYU coming in, Connor Hazard returns from his loan deal, and Johnny Kenny also returned from his loan deal. Outs, we have Tom Ulawemi, Josip Juranovic, Johnny Kenny has been back out on loan, Scott Robertson on loan, Moritz Jens has had his loan cancelled, and Oliver Albergaard is away on loan, but probably that will get made permanent as well. You know what, I think Ange gets a lot of credit for his signings, and rightfully so, because most of them have been great. There's no denying that. However, there has been a couple that just haven't lived up to expectations, and I think it's fair to say that Albergaard is one of them. He's come in, and I get it, he's competing for the Callum McGregor position, so it's not going to be easy. In fact, it's going to be very, very difficult. However, he just hasn't been good enough. He hasn't really stood out. He's not been a Celtic player, and I think his career at the club is over. So, yeah, I think it is fair that we acknowledge that Ange isn't a god. He might be good, but he's not this mere mortal. He does make mistakes, and some of the signings just haven't been that good. It seems to be the defensive midfield positions where that's where Ange is, let's put it bluntly, fucked up. Now, we can say McCarthy wasn't an Ange signing, but McCarthy's come in, done nothing. Iraguchi's came in, alright, injuries haven't helped, done nothing. And Albergaard's come in and pretty much done nothing. So you got the three centre defensive midfield players that have come in. Now, whether that be because they're not that good, or maybe just Callum McGregor's way too much better than them, I don't know, but there does seem to be a position where Ange has struggled to bring in players that are, let's say, on the level of a Callum McGregor, or at least on, good enough to compete with him for the jersey. In terms of players coming in, Kobayashi, I've seen a little bit of him. He looks decent. Alistair Johnston's came in. It looks like he's just going to slot into the Juranovic position easily. The new man, haven't seen enough of him to really make any sort of comparison. And Awata, again, I haven't seen him play either. I don't know if he's played yet or not. I think he was he was the third signing, I believe. They signed him before Now, I'm not sure if he's played yet or not, but I haven't seen him play, so I couldn't tell you if he's any good or not. I think the players Celtic have brought in, though, the ones I have seen play, Kobayashi and Johnson, have looked pretty good, so fair play to that. Juranovic is away to Union Berlin. Obviously, Celtic fans would claim he was one of their best players. So it does suck to lose him from their perspective. But I think Alistair Johnson's a pretty good replacement. I think bringing in Kobayashi to potentially partner Carter Vickers is also a good deal. Again, can't really comment on the other two, but I don't know. I'm going to give it a B. I think Celtic have had a pretty good window. A lot of their deals were done early as well, so I'll give them a B. They got 10 million for Juranovic. Maybe they could have got a bit more. I don't know, but for me, it's a B for Celtic. Dundee United in. I'm not gonna count the players ending their loan deals. That's a load of shit. Pretty much. Well, that's it. Dundee United didn't bring anybody in, so there you go. Cobwebs in the Dundee United finances. Out, they've got Ericsson on loan, Meekinson on loan, Chalmers on loan, Glass on loan, Darren Watson on loan, Duffy, Adam Hutchinson, Tony Watt on loan. See, Tony Watt, man, I think Tony Watt's a bit of a weird one. I mean, this guy's got no loyalty. This guy's a bit of a hoe. He just seems to jump from club to club. And honestly, I mean, at the start it was like a cool action scene. It was a gimmick, but he was living off his hype at Celtic. I mean, now I look at Tony Watt and he's just a failure, you know. He's just a guy that switches clubs. He'll score the odd goal, but he's not a prolific player. I don't know why all these clubs are, so hell-bent on getting Tony Watt's signature. Now, he could go and prove me wrong at St Mirren, but you know what? I don't think he's a big loss for Dundee United. I think there's once upon a time where I would have considered Tony Watt to be a great signing for any Scottish Premiership team, but those days are long gone. For me, Tony Watt now he's just a guy, he's just a mercenary pretty much who's willing to jump from club to club. And I personally wouldn't want my club to sign him because you just know in 6 months or a year's time he's going to be away. So I don't think that's a major loss for Dundee United. They've got a pretty good squad at the moment. The squad's way too good to go down, put it that way. And at least Stephen Fletcher is, he's proven over his entire career that he is a goal scorer. He is a good player. I mean, Tony Watt, like I said, had a short spell at Celtic where he was good. Apart from that, man, he hasn't really done much. Now, he is meeting up with his former boss, Stephen Robinson, at St Mirren. Will that get him back to firing? I don't know, but I mean, this window for Dundee United is pretty poor, let's be real. No one has been brought in, and they haven't really lost anyone. I'll give it a D. I'll give it a D. They haven't really lost any key players. That's the only reason it's getting a D. They haven't brought anybody in, which is fucking horrendous. However, I don't think they need to. I do believe this Dundee United team are too good to go down. So, we'll see. That's the only reason it's getting it would have got an E if I thought they were in trouble. If I thought they were going to potentially go down with its signings, I would have gave them an E, but I don't think they will. And the fact that they've kept, their key players, I believe, then the window. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be happy if I was a Dundee United fan, but the fact they haven't lost any key players, in my opinion, means it's not a disaster. Moving on to Hearts now. In is James Hill on loan for Bournemouth, Yutora Oda for Fizzle Kobe, Karang Kuhl on loan from Newcastle, and that's pretty much it. Yep, that's it. And then out, you've got Scott McGill on loan, Ewan Henderson on loan, and Connor Smith on loan. So for Hearts, again, the only players leaving are players that are going out on loan, which will help Hearts in the long run, get players game time, and they've got, like I said, Hill on loan, Kuhl on loan, and Yataro Oda on a permanent. Now, they were trying to get Callum Patterson in late in the window, but couldn't get that deal over the line, so that looks like Callum Patterson will just join in the summer. So, I mean, that could have made a difference, I think, overall, in terms of the rate. I mean, for me, it's good. Like, they haven't lost anybody. They also did get... They got Kai Rolls to sign a 5-year deal. I'm not going to include that in the rating, but obviously it's good that they've got him to do that contract extension. So, I mean, for me, it was a pretty decent transfer window for Hearts. The fact they didn't lose anybody, they brought a few players on a loan, and they brought in a player from the Japanese league. And we know recently that we've seen it at Celtic, players coming in for the Japanese league have done pretty good. So there's reasons to suggest here that Hearts could have had a good window. I'm going to give it a B, or maybe a C. Well, you know what? We'll give it a B. I think what Hearts have done in this window, they've just strengthened the team, and I mean, they're already at the third best squad, but I think this just confirms it. I really don't see anybody catching Hearts for third. So, is a B my final answer? No, I'll give it. No, we'll give it a C. Okay, I've changed my mind. I'm going to give it a C because, I mean, with 2 players on loan. Yeah, 2 players on loan, screw it, C. But it's still a decent window nonetheless. Moving into Hibs, in Alan Del Ferry, Jack Bryden, Emmanuel Johnson's back from loan. They've got James Jago, Egan Riley's on loan, and Matthew Hope is on loan from Middlesbrough out. They've got Stephen Bradley, Joe Abaldi, Jack Brynden, Noah Kenny, Dimitri Mitchell, Ryan Schofield, Ryan Porteous, Elis Melkerson, Maciej Dabrowski, Modo Bojang, and Emmanuel Johnson. A weird window for Hibs. The players that they brought in, I don't know any of them. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know. The only player they've really brought in of note, I think, is this Matthew Hope guy on loan for Middlesbrough. And for me, I just don't really know who. Now, they did keep Kevin Nisbet, which I think is really good business because he will score goals. He's proven that he'll continue to score goals. They lost Ryan Porteous, but you know what can you do if they didn't sell him for some money in January? They would have lost him for free in the summer. So you know I'm not going to hold that against them too much. It's not an F by any means. It's not an E. It's not a horrible transfer window. It's either a C or a D for me. And you know what? I think Kevin Nisbet's so good. The fact that they kept Kevin Nisbet, I'll give them a C. And who knows? Maybe this Matthew Hope guy from Middlesbrough's good. So you know they'll get a C for me. Moving on to Kilmarnock, they brought in Kyle Fassel. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Then Kyle Fassel, no idea if he's any good or not. Players out, you've got Sotana on loan, Connell's away to East Kilbride, Curtis Lyle's away to Stenhousemuir, Dylan McGowan's out on loan, Kyle Lafferty released, and Ollie Shaw is away to Barnsley. Not a good window for Kilmarnock. Not a good window at all. Derek McKinnon surely cannot be happy with this. He's lost two of his most important attacking players. 2 guys that know where the back of the net is, Kyle Lafferty and Ollie Shaw. So for me, this is a really bad window for Killie. Let's be honest, they're struggling. They are by no means safe. They are in a relegation dogfight. And what you want in a dogfight is you want players that can score goals. And for them to lose 2 players that can score, and honestly I don't really know this Kyle Fassel guy. He could be good, but I don't know who he is. So for me, this is a bad window for Killie. Very bad window for Killie. I'm going to give it a D. Yeah, I'm going to give it a D. I think Kilmarnock should have done better than this. I'm actually tempted to give it an F, but I will give it a D because who knows? Let's be real, Kyle Lafferty's fucking done anyway, isn't he? So, I mean, is it really a loss? He can go back to singing sectarian songs, I guess, in bars if he wants. Moving on to Livingston, Stephen Bradley's in for Hibs, Lucie D. Lucas is in for Haka, and that's it. Players out is Jace Cabia, he's away on loan to Queen of the South, and Josh Millen has been released. Really shit window, isn't it? Not shit, it's just not a lot to say. I'll give Livy a C. A C, why not? Motherwell, Shane Blaney is in. Max Johnson's returned for loan. Michael Mandron is in for Gillingham. Got Riku Dansaki is in for Brisbane Roar. So another Japanese player coming from this time he's coming from the Australian League. But he's still Japanese, I guess, so whatever. Jack Aikenson's in for Barnsley. And that's pretty much it then. In terms of players out, you've got Scott Fox released, Matt Penny. I think Matt Penny was really good. Anytime I watch Matt Penny, this guy, he had a great foot on him, man. I mean, I remember I've seen quite a few games where he's just absolutely hit, smashers, man. The guy's got I can't remember if he's left or right footed, man, but every time this guy struck a ball, you felt like it was going in top bin, so that's a big loss there to lose Matt Penny. Barry Maguire's out on loan, Rolando Aarons is out on loan, Louis Molt's end of loan deal. I mean, what did Louis Moult really do in his return to Motherwell? I believe Louis Moult was the top goal scorer a few years ago. But, you know, he never really, you know, hit the heights when he returned there. So that's pretty much it. Some more players leaving on loan. Sondre Solheim leaving on loan. A bit of a concerning window. A concerning window for Motherwell. The results wise, they look like they could be going down. They look really bad at the moment. I believe if you take on form in the last 10 games, I think Motherwell are 12th in the league. They just haven't been able to. I think they've won one game at home all season. I seen a stat the other day, and St Johnstone have more wins at Fir Park this season than Motherwell do, and that's fucking insane. You know, that shouldn't be allowed to happen. How can St Johnstone have more wins at Fir Park than Motherwell do in the league? That's incredible. So Motherwell I think should have been looking to bring in more players here. They haven't done it. I'm going to give it a D. I'm not going to give it an F because it's not like they've lost their entire starting 11, but the way they're playing at the moment, I think they'd be maybe better off losing their entire starting 11. We'll move on to Rangers now. Now, 2 ins, Todd Cantwell and Nicholas Raskin. Players out, you've got Charlie McCann, he left to go to Forest Green, and Tony Weston is out on loan. Right. Rangers, let's talk about it. Expect it, I think, quite a few more signings in this. I think at the start of the window we were told 3, 4, 5, and they end up with 2. Now, are the 2 players they brought in bad? No. I mean, Todd Cantwell, what he was doing 3, 4 years ago was great. And the problem is, he was doing it 3, 4 years ago. There's no guarantee he's going to be doing it in 2023. Nicholas Raskin is a player that's got a lot of hype about him. Again, I've not seen him play, but he's rated. He's highly rated for his age. I believe he's made appearances for the Belgian under-19s and under-21s national team. So, I mean, if you can get in that, then you probably are a good player. But my problem for Rangers is, it's not that I don't think these 2 players could be good signings, but let's be real. Is 2 players enough to catch Celtic or close the gap to Celtic? In my opinion, no. Now, most people would accept that Celtic, before this transfer window, were ahead of Rangers by quite a margin. And in this window, Celtic have signed more players than Rangers. So, now you could argue Rangers went for quality over quantity, but that remains to be seen. But for me, I think Rangers needed to do more. I think they needed to sign more players. Now, people will say, well, you're just hating on this and that, but I'm not, because at the start of the season, Gio Van Bronckhorst said he was happy with his squad, and he got lambasted for that. People were saying that they were calling him a flat-out liar. They were saying this squad is terrible, this squad ain't good enough, this squad is this squad is that. They were saying that this squad needs 5, 6, 7 first-team players to even get close to Celtic. So, if Gio Van Bronckhorst said the squad's good enough and people just ridiculed him for that, I don't see how all of a sudden 2 signings later people can now say, oh no, this squad's great, this has been a great window, this squad's as good as Celtic, Beal Ball and all this stuff. I mean, for me, it was a decent window, but in context, in terms of closing the gap to Celtic, has this window done it? I'm not convinced. I think they should have been looking to bring in, if I was Rangers, I would have probably wanted to bring in a striker, because Morelos could be gone at the end of the season, and Cholak has been injury prone lately, so I would have been looking to bring in a striker. I would have been looking to bring in a goalkeeper, because McLaughlin, is he good enough to play for Rangers as a number 1? It's doubtful. McGregor, ever since Rangers won the league title last year and this year, he's been very error prone. Let's be honest, his reflexes are going down as well. Is he still a good goalkeeper? Yes. But is he a goalkeeper that you want to, lead you into big European nights? No, definitely not. McCrory, if he was really good enough, I think he would have been given a chance by now. So I look at the goalkeeping position, I think it's a position that Rangers definitely could have improved on. You look at left back. I think Barisic, great crosser of the ball, not denying it, great left foot, all this stuff. But, I mean, defensively, the guy's shocking. They could have brought in a left back. I think once John Souttar gets back healthy, I think he will be the best centre back. But at the moment, let's be honest, he's not healthy. People are still not convinced on Davies. Could they have brought in a centre back? Maybe. I just feel like there's other roles in other areas that Rangers could have definitely improved on in here. But they haven't done that, and that's fine. We'll see. For me, it's been an okay window. I'm going to give it a C. I think the 2 signings are decent. I just think they need it a bit more than 2 signings, and I think most Rangers fans want it more than 2 signings as well. But we'll see. I think it's a decent window. I'll give it a C, but just in context, when you think that they're that far behind Celtic, then they probably wanted to bring in a few more players. But it is what it is. C for Rangers. Moving on to Ross County. A few players out on loan. Nolan Kenny, they brought in Josh Stones, they brought in Eamon Brophy, they brought in Matthew Wright, Logan Ross, Adam McKinnon, Simon Murray. They've actually got him on a permanent deal. For me, this is a pretty good window for Ross County. Now, the players, right, they lost Eastwood, Johnson, more players on loan, but no one of any note, really. Like, what I've noticed here is they brought in Eamon Brophy, and I know people will ridicule the guy and say that he sucks. I think Brophy's pretty decent, and they brought in Simon Murray. So Ross County, down the bottom of the table, they need goals, and they've brought in 2 goal scorers. For me, that shows intent. That shows that at least they're going to try and score their way out of this relegation battle. So for me, straight away, I would say that Ross County's had a pretty decent window here. They haven't really lost anybody, and the fact they brought in 2 strikers, I am going to give this Ross County window a B. Yeah, you've heard it here first, guys. I'm going to give it a B, and I am going to say that Ross County survive this season. I think Ross County will stay up. I think Ross County will certainly... I think they'll be above Motherwell come the end of the season. Not too sure they'll be above Kelly or Dundee United. Maybe they'll have to, win a relegation playoff battle, but I don't see them finishing last. I really don't. For me, it's Motherwell at the moment. I can't really see past Motherwell. So, you know what? Bringing in those 2 strikers, I think, is going to be good business for Ross County. I will give them a B. Moving into St Johnstone now, and you've got Adam Montgomery on loan for Celtic. You've got Ross Sinclair in from Montrose on loan. Cammy Ballantyne. Oh wait, that's end of loans. My bad. Charlie Gilmore end of loan, and Sack Rudden. They got Sack Rudden on a permanent from Dundee. In terms of outs, they just won out John Mahone for Sligo Rovers. So, what can you say about that? It's pretty mediocre. It's really mediocre. I haven't really done anything, have they? But, they're kind of, St Johnstone, I'll give it a C. They're kind of in a situation, in my opinion, their season's kind of done at the moment. I don't see them being dragged into a relegation battle, but they're not good enough to push for top 6 or Europe, So, yeah, for me, they're kind of probably going to just finish 7th place, only 7th or 8th. That's where St Johnstone will finish this season. Did I say 7th or 8th? Just 8th. I changed my mind. They're going to finish 8th. I guarantee it. St Johnstone will be 8th this year. And then we move into the last team. Last but certainly not least, we've got St Mirren. They brought in Richard Taylor on a free. Thierry Small on loan for Southampton, and Tony Watt from Dundee United on loan. And outs, they've got Jay Henderson, Ole Asana, Eamon Brophy, Dean Linnis, and Ethan Haran, who I think is actually pretty decent. He's away to Lincoln City. But you know what? Losing Eamon Brophy, it's kind of a swap, isn't it? It's kind of like they've lost Eamon Brophy, but they brought in Tony Watt. Now, who do you consider to be a better player at this stage, at this time, at this current time? Who's better, Tony Watt or Eamon Brophy? For me, actually, I think it's Eamon Brophy. Eamon Brophy is, in the last few years, like 3 years ago, he got a Scotland cap. When was the last time Tony Watt was anywhere near a national team? Never. For me, I would 100% say that Eamon Brophy is currently a better player than Tony Watt. So, and they've lost Ethan Erahat. You know what? I'm going to give it a D for St Mirren. Not a good window. Now, this Thierry Small guy could be good, but for me, I don't know. I do not know. So, yeah, guys, that is it. That is it then. I've ranked all the teams. I've given you my grades. I don't think any teams had a disaster, and I don't think any teams had a great window either. I don't. But for me, I've got to. I probably would give the edge to Celtic, because I think they obviously had the strongest team going into this window, and they've come out with a replacement for Juranovic. They've come in with someone that can potentially, help Carter Vickers, and be a starting centre-back. So have a look at it and they've got a replacement for Giamakis, even though Giamakis hasn't left yet. So, yeah, no, for me, I'd probably give the edge to them. But we'll see. I mean, we've only played one game since the transfer window, and a lot of the new players haven't even really featured yet. So I guess we'll tell by the end of the season who had a good window and who didn't. Anyway, guys, that's it. Let me know your rankings down below, and let me know, out of the 12 Scottish Premiership sides, who do you think had the best transfer window in January? That's it. Half an hour, guys. Half an hour. Might have made yous wait, but hopefully it was worth the wait. So yeah, let me know who you think had the best window. I'll catch you in the next one. And of course, until then, I'll see you later. Peace.